It appears likely that when the PBA opens the 44th season at the Philippine Arena on Jan. 13 next year, new rules will be implemented to make the game even more exciting while taking advantage of technology available to assure the right calls. PBA Commissioner Willie Marcial and PBA Director of Operations Eric Castro recently met with PBA head coaches at the PBA office in Eastwood City, Libis, to discuss rules, ways to improve operations and cooperative efforts to reach out to fans. Concerns were raised on the lack of rest for players, particularly those who are with Gilas, during the season. "It was a very successful get-together," said Marcial. "I'm not sure if this was ever done before, but we felt it was time to sit down and find out from our coaches what they think should be done to improve the PBA. We were supposed to start at 6:30 p.m., but some coaches arrived at 5:30 p.m., and we went on until 10 p.m. We'll try to do this maybe twice a year at least, because so much can be achieved with better communication." Marcial said a rule that may be introduced next season is making goaltending reviewable the entire game, not just in the last 2 minutes as it is now. "We'll treat it like a three-point shot," said Marcial. "We can replay a call or non-call on goaltending, and if we find the wrong call was made, we will correct the score at the next dead ball, whether adding or subtracting 2 points." Castro said the PBA Technical Committee depends on TV5 to provide a quick replay of a possible goaltending, preferably through the goal cam. "I recall in the recent Magnolia Ginebra playoff game at the Iners, the referees missed a goaltending call against Justin Brownlee," said Castro. "Paul Lee made a layup and only through the replay could you conclusively see the ball hit the board before it was blocked by Brownlee. That was a crucial play with 2:17 left, so under existing rules, it wasn't reviewable." Coach Tito Victorero protested and got a technical. "During our coaches' meeting, I explained that if the goaltending rule becomes reviewable anytime, it would spare a coach from protesting and getting a technical. Why not take advantage of technology in making the right call?" The coaches agreed to make it reviewable anytime. Two other new rules that may be applied are the FIBA interpretation of traveling and making advantage fouls reviewable. Every league in the world, including the NBA, is adopting the FIBA interpretation of allowable travel, which is 0-1-2, where you gather at 0 then take 2 steps, said Castro. At the moment, the PBA rule is called the travel on 1-2-3. With FIBA, it's like taking 2 steps. The coaches also agreed to make advantage fouls reviewable, although we will emphasize that if there's a clear path, why review? It only becomes debatable on side-to-side situations. If there's doubt, then the referees will review. Marcial said this coming year, the PBA will break for the 6th FIBA Asia-Pacific World Cup qualifiers, the All-Star Weekend, the FIBA World Cup and the SEA Games. The coaches want a real break for the players, because when we stop play for the qualifiers or World Cup or the SEA Games, it's not really a break, said Marcial. But it's part of the sacrifice for our country. The PBA is committed to provide 106 doubleheaders and 140 game days a season to our sponsors, so we really can't go down to 2 conferences. One proposal is to hold games on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays to speed up each conference, but that will have to be studied carefully. Castro said players who are drafted for international competition are vulnerable to suffer considerable wear and tear, singling out Junmar Fajardo, Jason Castro and Ranitol do Ocampo as examples. Even if the PBA stops playing for the qualifiers or World Cup or the SEA Games, teams are still practicing and national players are playing games, so there's no real break, he said. This season, we've stretched out to 14 months and next season, we might extend to 2020 because of the SEA Games. Marcial said the coaches pledged their support for the PBA's various CSR programs, particularly the surprise outreach visits to depressed communities. He also said the coaches backed up the league's proactive communications program, where players are scheduled to appear on different TV and radio shows to promote the games.